Hello and welcome back to Wario Land 2. On the last episode, we went to the ruins at the bottom of the sea, and now we're going to go find another secret exit. Who would have possibly guessed? So yes, the secret exit's pretty simple to find. We actually showed it off in the level proper when we were here earlier, but I'd hate to be like, oh hey, I already showed it off in the LP, don't need to show it again, so let's show it again now that it's relevant again. The word again. So yes, you just use this guy, you break these fake enemy wall blocks, and you can continue onwards. There's a pretty decent tell that you need to do that because there's an enemy right there, and B, you can actually see beyond the wall. So now it's time for some really cool levels. After unfortunately foregoing a rousing game of b-ball, we're able to catch up to Captain Syrup and her nefarious Black Sugar Gang, and as we can see here, since we cut her off on her way to Syrup Castle, she's had to make the tough call to take refuge in this spooky mansion, and her men don't seem all too plussed with it, but the captain's orders are absolute and you cannot disobey them. Well, this guy's thinking something else. He's thinking maybe mutiny's worth it, but unfortunately there's something scarier than the mansion behind him, for the beast is upon him, the beast that is Wario, and even Wario's like, maybe even, I don't want to go in here, but his money's in there, and where Wario's money is, so is he. So he's going to have to go into the final chapter, Uncanny Mansion Story 1, defeat the giant spearman if he wants to get it back. Maybe what's so uncanny about it is the presence of a giant spearman. We've never seen one of those before, it's so uncanny. So yes, the Uncanny Mansion, the spooky chapter of Wario Land 2. I'm generally a big fan of spooky levels just because I enjoy the atmosphere, the creepy aesthetic, you know, etc. Halloween's a fun time of the year for me. This chapter gets a plus for me. I enjoy it. A plus. It gets a check mark. It gets a plus. Good job. So yes, this first story, Defeat the Giant Spearman, has an interesting mechanic about it that is very uncanny. There are enemy portraits on the doors, and no, screw it, that block lives. The enemy portraits on the doors refer to the enemies that will appear once you go through those doors. So as you saw, there weren't enemies in that room previously, but then once we exited, all of a sudden there were chickens everywhere. And once we exit this door, there are now ants in this room. So it's kind of interesting, kind of fits the spooky atmosphere very well because it's uncanny. That's a good way to put it. It being just uncanny, these things just changing around you for no discernibly good reason. I mean, we as players can tell that, oh, you know, that door has a chicken on it. We know we're going to come out and there's going to be chickens everywhere. But why are there chickens everywhere? Who is doing this? How are they getting out here? It's a mystery. And unfortunately for us, the mysteries continue into Zombie Town. So yes, this being a spooky level, or spooky chapter, spooky world, however you want to say it, Zombie is going to be the king of the transformations here. And unfortunately, Zombie's not my favorite transformation. I like the idea. I think there's some interesting arrangements that can be done with it. Like falling through the floors, that's kind of cool. The big downside is typically Zombie is more of a punishment transformation than a useful one. And they definitely make sure you're punished with it, because on top of just like falling through the floor and having to repeat an arrangement that you might have not had to, well, probably definitely wouldn't have had to, were there not zombies about. On top of it, Zombie is just so slow. It's like such a slow transformation, so it's going to be a slow burn to have to reset the arrangement. I'm actually going to go through this door to respawn the Pirate Goom, because since it's the Pirate Goom door, since we came out of it, Pirate Gooms appeared as opposed to the, oh heck, I actually want him to go this way. So we're going to have to continue to let him walk since I'm having trouble getting them through these small spaces. Even though we entered in through the Pelican door, we exited out the Pirate Goom door, and I really don't care which one of these guys I get as long as I can have one. So yes, the door that you exit out of is more important than the one that you enter through, and so that's interesting. The puzzles in this arrangement in this level aren't so specific or in-depth that something like that's going to matter too much, and also this mechanic doesn't really see the light of day beyond this level, spoilers, so we're not going to be seeing it a lot, but it is kind of interesting that it is designed that way. I wonder if they had plans to use it more than just in this one level, because I can't for the life of me think of it being in any other level. So it's definitely not an Uncanny Mansion. If it is, I'm going to be like, what? There's no way it should be there, because I don't remember it at all. And my memory is absolute. I mean, I always remember everything 100% correctly every single time. I never forget something or do things incorrectly. No, sir-ree. But yes, the Uncanny Mansion. I think this is an interesting mechanic. It's very, it fits the tone. On top of it fitting the tone, well, actually, this is a different mechanic on top of it. As you saw, some of the rooms are pitch black. There is a lights off mechanic here. There is a light switch that we need to hit somewhere, and I think that's kind of a nice little thing to introduce you to the mansion to, because A, it's a mechanic that we've seen. We're familiar with having to hit a light switch to make the good things happen. But on top of it, it's like, hey, you've just entered the spooky mansion. You gotta find the lights now. It's kind of a nice little, like, tonal thing. And now we have to be zombie because we have been, unfortunately, infected by a zombie. We've been infected with zombification by a ghost because ghosts, they supply zombification. They also are dead. They know what's up with their other undead brethren, and I just screwed that arrangement up myself. I was just like, gotta make that jump. No, I did not, in fact, make that jump. I completely just whiffed landing on those platforms. I jumped up there and just slid off. Maybe I didn't even make it. Well, I know what happened. I jumped too far and hit the wall instead of landing on the platform like I had intended. So these little arrangements with two ghosts can be a little tricky because they tend to operate in a way that kind of fulfills their blind spots, or blocks their blind spots from each other. So it's like, oh yeah, you know, that one ghost kind of had a sine wave going on, so you can jump on him or go under him, like I did. But then there's one spinning around in a circle, so if you just slide on through, all of a sudden you're just going to smack into that ghost if you're not too careful. Same thing with jumping. So two ghost arrangements where the ghosts kind of interlap their patrolling sections can be kind of tricky. And unfortunately now we have these apes, and these apes can be a pain to deal with. Fortunately, I don't want to make a straight shot for the exit. I'm pretty sure it's in that pirate room door, or the chicken door, whichever one you're thinking about at the time. But there are other things to be seen in the mansion that we must discover. Just like in Go to the Cellar, these areas could totally be brute forced. If you know where the doors are, the doors and the platforms are, you could totally just jump up to the doors, enter the doors, and have a grand old time. But I don't like futzing around with things when the lights are off, so I'll just turn on the lights like the developers assumed you would, and then do it that way. Luckily, we found this little bit of money before we ran straight to the end of the level, because I was so sure that the pirate room and the chicken door led to the end of the level, and that this was extra content USA. Wario lives in America, spoilers. But yes, it was just extra content, because I had those two in my head. I was like, one of them... They were backwards in my head. That's about all I can say. The words don't seem to be coming to me very well, but the words that will come to me well is treasure door. I find the Uncanny Mansion to be an interesting chapter. It does a lot of kind of like, I wouldn't say exactly folded level design, but they do have very wrapping around, sprawling, interesting level design. That was a lot of words. They wrap you around in ways that typically you don't see. Normally the levels are a bit more linear than that. Like right here, there were two blocks that we were able to destroy, and that gave us a shortcut, so we didn't have to go through the pirate room door every single time we wanted to get by. And unfortunately for me, I actually needed to go in there, but I blanked out because I was like, shortcut here. It was good. I liked it. So yes, it's kind of nice that it was, you know, there's like little shortcuts, and they loop you around a couple times. You have to see new parts of the level, come back to old parts of the level as well. It's nice. And now we have the final kind of a challenge for this level before we encounter the giant spearmen. It's a long segment of vertical shafts with ghosts in them. And as you see, that's bad because this entire thing is created out of the thin platforms, as I refer to them as, which means you're going to be falling through as Zombie Wario if you get hit even once, because there's no light. The only segment of light is back here, and falling onto that as a ghost is going to be practically impossible, and only possible in that first shaft. So if you get hit any time after that first shaft, you just have to repeat the arrangement. What I find the best way to do this as is not what I'm doing at the moment, and it is instead to use the dash crouch. I've never been able to find a good phrase for that, but dash crouch is probably the best phrase for that, because you dash and you crouch. It's good, and I almost just slid straight off, and that would have been sad. But here we are. This is the end of story 1. We find the giant spearman, I should say. He is a giant pirate goon, yes, but he is the giant. Oh, we almost managed to do it without hitting the floor once. That would have been very nice. Now, damn, I was trying to jump up on the table before it ended. That would have been cool. That's all. So yes, that's an interesting level and a nice start to the Uncanny Mansion. And what could be more uncanny than a clock? Time's pretty freaky, so I can see that. Hold on to the owl. Hold your horse, actually release your horses, and instead hold on to your owls, because it's a dedicated owl level. Yes, the dedicated owl level, where the owl is trapped and untouchable, because a caged owl is unholdable. It is universal truth. A caged owl, unholdable. Which, unfortunately, while Wario's world is immune to many of our pesky laws of nature, and just morality. Wario has no morality, my god. But no, unfortunately, Wario must follow the universal truth that a caged owl is unholdable. It's quite tragic, really, because this man has an affinity with owls that we'll never understand. We'll never be able to comprehend fully this man's affinity for owls. And oh, that was really sweet. We got hit by the halberd spike trap thing, and we managed to hit the block and free the owl without managing to do it properly. So hey, that's great. I'm a big fan of this level. You just start off and it immediately subverts your expectations because you're like, yeah, owl, let's go get the owl. And the owl's right there by the start, but he's trapped, so you have to free him first. It's kind of nice. Nice little opening the level, kind of let you explore the area you're going to have to fly around as the owl first, so you're not flying in there completely blind, which is nice because you might get hit by things. Like there's a skullcopter that flies in a circle, and had I not known about that, it might have managed to get me, and that would have been bad, because then we would have fallen through, and these spikes not only hurt you, and you lose money when you hit them, but you actually pass through them, the same way like Zombie Wario passes through thin flooring, so it can be quite a problem if you land on top of the spikes, because you'll just fall straight through. That's pretty dang early for a treasure room, but we've had a chance to gather quite a bit of money, so... well, you couldn't, with the amount of money I went in there with, you couldn't play easy mode, but you could at least do normal, which is nice. I mean, I always do hard just because I don't want to spend my darn money, even though I guess it really doesn't matter. I mean, I have all this money to spend regardless, and as you can see there, I fell through the spikes. I did that to demo it, not because I'm bad at a video game and life. I'm bad at lots of things. And you know what? I'm actually going to take this way up. Instead of tangoing with those skullcopters, we'll just go the way that we fell down. It is nice, that switch that you find that takes you to the owl. There's a nice little shaft that they just let you fall straight down through, so you don't have to backtrack through this arrangement again, which is nice, especially since going back down would be quite difficult as just plain Wario without the aid of our friend the owl. This room's kind of nice. It kind of lets you get to grips with the owl, so just in case it's been a while since you've done it, even though he was in the last chapter in the runes just for a short amount of time. It's been a while since we've had a lot of time to spend with our owl. And I've gotten to spend even more time with him than you guys ever will, thanks to a jump cut. Thanks, messing up. I got to spend a little bit more time with our friend the owl, and I almost just straight up missed all that money, and I'm not going to go back because some of that money is kind of dangerous, because then you'll hit the spikes and have to completely reset that arrangement, like from the bottom. You have to run back to the owl, because there's only one owl in the entire room. Here we can be a little bit more ballsy, because it's like, hey, this arrangement's much smaller, and it's a nice little checkpoint since we're in a new room. Even if we were to follow the beginning, we don't have to go to the very first owl. We have a brand new owl. That actually raises the question, are these different owls, or are these, or is it just one owl who very quickly moves between perches for our use? That's a question for another time. Perhaps Wario's just, he's a friend of the animals, and he says, "Wah, owls, come to my aid," and they just come. Who knows? There are a bunch of big coins down there if you're willing to go down there. It's maybe 20 or 30, so a bunch, 2 or 3, yeah, that's great. If you're willing to spend a little bit more time than I am, you can get some more money, but as you can tell, I am not willing to spend more time than I need to, because that means going back and inflating the video length and boring you guys. So you have to think about that. We can't bore you, and more importantly, we can't bore Wario, because Wario's a man of discerning tastes, and he does not enjoy having his face smack dab into a spike. And unfortunately, we can go straight up here, and I think we might be able to run to the end of the level. You may need the owl. So they kind of bottleneck you in a way that it's like, oh hey, you can't continue onwards because they force you to let go of the owl, because those blocks up there, you have to break them. You can only get to them with the owl, and you have to let go of the owl to break them. There's no way to break those blocks with the owl, so it's kind of interesting that they designed the level in such a way that it's like, oh hey, had you just continued onwards, the path was open for you, but without an owl, that was really interesting. I knew it would, you could see Wario slowly descending with that, so you knew it wasn't going to last forever, but that was just kind of interesting to watch. A little mesmerizing. What is also mesmerizing is smacking around an enemy after you're done using them. That's the good stuff. But since we hit that switch, it's going to block off the path that we need to take and open up a new one that'll allow us to backtrack back to our friend, the owl. And I think even in here, there's another switch that we can hit that will make it so where we can go through in one pass. We won't have to let go into that room, get the owl, etc., etc., because, hey, we've already done it. And there's 2 pirate rooms here. That's actually a little suspect. We're going to keep one alive just in case we need to throw him at something. But it doesn't seem like there were any like hidden wall things. I guess I could have thrown the pirate gem at it to see, but I don't think there's a hidden wall around here. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, and there wasn't any enemy blocks, so I'm just gonna continue onwards. But it just seemed interesting to have 2 pirate rooms and nothing to break. No big jumps to make either. No breaks, no jumps to make. Break, rhyme. I don't know what to do with this knowledge, but I've discovered it. I'm actually interested, because those spikes are the bottom of the floor. Do we pass through them? Nope, we don't pass through them. I had to know, because they're at the bottom of the floor, but every other spike like that in this level, you fall straight through. So I was interested to see if there was an area beneath there that like I never knew about, because I never fall in those spikes, because, I mean, that arrangement isn't too terribly difficult. But there we go. We've managed to get our friend the owl through, and we did not have to let go of him this time. And now we can go and get the money out of these like little staircases if you're feeling risky, because there is spikes at the top. So if you're a little too on the nose, you could just bop a spike and just let go of the owl and have to repeat this arrangement entirely. And this would be kind of a long arrangement to repeat, so we do not want to lose our owl. Even if we have to take it slow and steady. Slow and steady will eventually finish a race. You may not win the race, but you will eventually finish. And finishing the race is what's more important sometimes. And I'm just going to watch what the Skullcopter does, because I didn't want to like go on and then he decides, nope, I'm reversing now. Speaking of reversing now, that was a good time to reverse. What if we'd been able to make it over here with the owl? Oh, we would have been able to make it to the end with the owl. But unfortunately, the reason we needed the owl was to get up there, because there's money up there to be had. Perhaps we can find another owl to use. And there was. And the way this looks, it looks like... Actually, is there a way out of here? Because those movable blocks make... Yeah, these movable blocks here. That means had we come in here with the wrong kind of setup, there would have been seemingly no escape. There obviously was, but the owl would be trapped and we'd be like, dang, there's nothing to do here. I feel bad that I let go of that owl at the last second. I mean, we made it that far, and then it was like, oh, nope, we're right at the end. I can do what we needed the owl for, and then I let go. So it's kind of interesting. You could make a straight shot for the end of this level, instead of doing that entire arrangement of having to just, like, switch the moving blocks and then come back with the owl a second time. You could just run straight to the end of the level. There's nothing forcing you to bring the owl to the end. There's just some more money if you want it. So hey, yes, you need to do it, because more money, you always need more money. Just like how you need a probably cursed book. Wario could use one of those. Now here's a level I think is really interesting. Story 3, The Way to the Open Door. We start off and we're thrown into a hallway filled with rats. A hallway with 5 doors, 1 through 4 are closed, 5 is open, which is kind of the opposite of what you'd expect. And behind door number 5, the exit's here, but you physically cannot end the level, even if you just wanted to run straight to the end, because you can't go through a door unless there's a platform underneath it. So we're going to need to move these movable blocks to end the level. So we're going to have to go explore the other doors to find which gosh darned door is hiding our switch. And it's kind of interesting because, I mean, obviously you don't know which one the switch is behind, but this level can kind of be short or it can be long depending on what you want to do, because as you can see, there are other movable blocks. So one would assume, oh hey, I should come back here after I move the blocks so I can get that money. I'm going to be foregoing that just because that'd take a little bit extra time, and there's nothing to gain by doing that other than money, and we're so good on freaking money. As long as we can afford the treasure game at in the level will be good. This level is also interesting because there's nothing real specific that makes the doors open. You just go through a door and a door opens. So like, if you know where the switch is and know which doors you need to go through, and you know what, actually it'll be faster just to infect myself with the zombie and then just to kill him. And I'm gonna continue onwards in the hope that there's light ahead. And, oh, there's cave monsters, so this works out very well for us because now we can just walk through them without having to slowly kill them all. I mean, this is still slow, but this is actually faster than having to stop and kill them one by one as normal Wario. We just have to hope that there is light at the end of this tunnel. Otherwise, we would have just wasted a lot of time. And seeing as we fell down to the second floor, there must be light somewhere here because Wario has no way of going back up. So yes, if you just wanted to speed through this level, you can just go in and out of doors, because going in and out of the door is what forces the other doors to open. I don't know what rhyme or reason other doors open, but that is what makes doors open. Going through a door opens other doors. That's a rule, I think. But yes, as you can see, there's more money we could have gotten down there had the switch been moved. But like I said, we're not going to be going back just because that would take up some of our precious time. Now we've been through 5, 4, 3, and 1. I think 2's the only one we haven't gone through. So hopefully 2 will open up after this, and let's deal with this stupid ant. Those ants can be such a pain with the way they make electricity on their head. They can catch you off guard really quickly, and it also sucks because if you try to jump over them, all of a sudden they're like, nope, there's lightning there. You can't stun me because I had lightning on my head, I promise. The way their lightning goes across the floor, they can be kind of the more annoying enemy in the game. Where does this go, actually? Turns out it went to treasure. That was the treasure door, so hey. And also more money to be had. So yes, you can get a ton of money if you were willing to just backtrack a bunch and find more. And oh wait, that was actually the entrance. Damn, you could just run in, get the treasure door, and be done. Man, this must be an interesting level of speedrun because it seems like it'd be done in a flash. So hey, but here we are. What should be the last room, I mean, it's going to be the last room for us, because if the switch isn't in here, then we've messed up. And oh hey, what do you know, there's a switch. We're done with the level, but I mean, we have more to explore. I mean, we're not going to go back for the things that I've been pointing out, but we will explore the rest of the room, because it would be chaos if we didn't see everything there was to be offered, even if we don't get everything there is. I mean, we're no stranger to that. I've foregone stuff in the past just because I'm like, it's out of our way. And I do want to get up here because there was money up here. And oh, had you come at this from the opposite direction, you could break that block, get the money, and everything would be good. But unfortunately for us, we will not be doing that because this should open up door 5, right? Oh, door 5 did not open. So now we're going to need to go through a couple doors and stop getting rudely bounced by those rats. To open door 5, and there we go. That's the end of the level. It's a little quickie, especially if you're playing it the way I do. But hey, it can be extended if you're willing to run back for money. I am not, though. So yes, I think the way to the open door is an interesting level. Just to see the door so early on, have to move on. Also, Wario looks excited for that glass of wine. Need a drink, buddy? You can have it. Coming back is difficult. That's vague enough to interest me. So we're going to want to remember this area because this is where we started, and we've been told coming back is difficult. So that implies backtracking will be required. And it would just be handy to remember where we started, especially because there's going to be something interesting that changes when we come back. I mean, it's barely spoilers. I mean, we knew we were coming back. The level told us that we were in fact coming back. It's the name of the game. The game of the name is story 4 coming back is difficult. It's actually not the name of the game. It's the name of the specific level in the game, but that's neither here nor there. Well, I mean, that is here because this is the level, and I'm just kind of talking in circles at this point. Something interesting about this level is you just get money sometimes. Something interesting about this level is there's been no enemies up to this point. It's kind of uncannily quiet. Which is interesting because up until this point, like, I mean, we have not seen a level, like, devoid of enemies. We've gone this far and only seen our first enemy. In fact, we've hit kind of a dead end, so we hit the switch, and this is where the difficulty begins, because this room was lit up previously, and now there's enemies about. We were left up to our own devices for a while, but now the enemies have come out to play. So this is where, coming back is difficult is interesting. And you can also jump off this punchy guy to get up there if you don't want to have to contend with the rest of this arrangement. Oh, I should have let this guy keep walking because there's actually a, there's a freaking, gap in the platforms. I had to remember the word gap. I was just swinging my hand around because I'm like, what is a gap? And then the word came to my mind. But yes, there's a gap in the platforms, but if you come to the end, there is a way out, if you remembered what the level looked like on the way in, because they turned the lights off in this room to make this room extra mean. Extra mean. And you can't actually jump up there. You have to go all the way over here to get to the platform to walk across. And you know what? If we just walk across, Wario will not fall until you get to the end of the area. Because the darkness, it is unfortunately not our old friend. We have not come to talk to it again. It is just here to inconvenience us. That is all it is here for, and I do not want to have to contend with this badger, so I'm going to go ahead and kill these guys. I mean, I could probably leave this guy alone since we're getting out of dodge. We're not going to have to deal with him any longer. But yes, this level coming back is difficult. It's interesting because you have to backtrack, which, I mean, oh hey, backtracking. People don't like backtracking. But it's kind of interesting because it's an example of folded level design, and folded level design actually becomes very important in the Wario Land series, starting with Wario Land 4, which, I mean, at that point it's just Wario Land 4 and Wario Land Shake It, but I'm going to pretend that it's important to the series after that because even though it's only 2 games. They're 2 very, very good games, and I wish the series continued, but that's neither here nor there, and I'm not going to cry over Wario Land 4. We have to continue onwards. We have to persevere and be strong for Wario. So yes, it's an interesting example of folded level design prior to Wario Land 4, which makes folded level design very important to the series after that point, which is what I'm saying. Which I was saying previously before I started making fun of myself for the series is only 2 games after that point, including one of the games. But hey, what's the point of berating yourself other than just berating yourself for the hell of it? But yes, folded level design. It's an example of folded level design because this level is definitely folded. You get to the end of the level, there's a switch, and then you have to backtrack. I mean, sure, you see new areas you previously didn't see before the fold, and the fold is changed. On top of there being new areas, there's new challenges within the old areas. But it is an interesting insight into, like, hey, here's folded design. And I wonder if, like, this level was brought up at all during the development of Wario Land 4. Like, oh, hey, remember when we did that folded level design thing? Maybe we should do that. That'd be cool. I doubt it came up, but I wonder if it ever crossed the designers' minds that folded level design had been seen previous to Wario Land 4. And that treasure door is probably a good signal that it's time to stop talking about the very good game, Wario Land 4, and instead talk about the very good game, Wario Land 2, because that is the one that we're playing, and since we're playing it, we should probably talk about it. So yes, this is where we began the level, and there's something new here. That door was not previously the exit. You can only interact with that door once the movable blocks move into position to let you in. But before you hit the movable blocks, that is also just a normal door, so there's an inaccessible door that exists there that becomes the goal door when you come back, and it's kind of interesting. And that's why I made such a big stink about, oh hey, you should really remember the beginning, because I just find that so neat that it's like, the goal is right there, but the door becomes the goal later on. It's kind of weird. You expect them to just be like, here's the exit, you better come back. And also, we're given a bottle of wine to go with that wine glass that we got previously. Either that or some ketchup, but it's probably wine. I mean, look, it's even red. Like, red wine is definitely just ketchup red. Now it's time for the final story of Final Chapter Uncanny Mansion with Final Story, Capture the Ghost. So yes, we must go ghost busting and capture, and there's the ghost that we must capture, and there's another ghost we must capture, and you know what? Heck, let's throw in another ghost to capture. So yes, we don't have to capture all of these ghosts, as you may have been able to guess by my tone, but more specifically, a specific ghost we must capture. Yeah, that sounds great. Yes, there is a ghost to capture, and it is not just a normal run-of-the-mill ghost, it is, in fact, the ghost. So we're gonna have to be on the lookout for a ghost that thinks it's such hot shit that it can title itself The Ghost. It is the one and only, and I did not like that. It's stupid ant. I'm not a big fan of ants, just in the real world or in this game, actually. Interesting. Ants continue to suck in all media, except for one. There's a single media that has a good depiction of ants. It's Hunter. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about Hunter x Hunter. We're talking about Wario x Wario. And we have an interesting arrangement here of a bunch of enemy blocks that comprise both walkways that you require to get around and obstacles. It's kind of interesting, and this isn't the first time they've done anything like this, and I think there actually might be another arrangement just like this. Not like just like this, but another arrangement of the same ilk in this level. But it is something interesting that we haven't seen for a while, because I believe there was an arrangement like this earlier in the game, and yes, this is just the leads to the room that you'd be thrown into were you to fail against the boss. But we will not fail against the boss. We will go through here and fight the boss without error. And you know, now that we're starting to think about it, perhaps this boss has something to do with the ghost that we must capture. Well, we'll just stick that under our hat for now, because it is relatively unimportant, because we have other things to do before we do it. And this little snowman is such a pain, because you just run into this room. That snowman's going to slide on screen and immediately ice you if you don't know what's coming or you're not, like, quick on your feet and react. Mine was just I knew it was coming. Had I not known, I probably would have been iced and would have been very, very sad. But luckily, I was not very, very sad today. I was only the normal amount of sad, which is good, because being anything more than the normal amount of sad is more than the normal amount of bad. I wanted to use the word bad, but unfortunately it did not come out of my mouth in a way that I found pleasant, and so I just said it regardless. But yes, we have things to do before we continue onwards, because I believe going to the right would have been the right thing to do. Man, we were able to get past that zombie. Granted, getting past that zombie was nowhere near as hard as that one zombie I couldn't get past and go to the cellar. So hey, maybe that's not much to celebrate, but we're going to continue onwards with the small victory we have obtained. And is this gonna have a ghost in it? And it does have a ghost in it, so I want to get the heck out of here, because that ghost would just waste our time, and we do not want to have our time wasted by zombification. It's such an inconvenience to be zombified. I mean, I know that's a very relatable statement that everyone will just nod their head and go, yeah, man, it sucks so much to get zombified. And I probably shouldn't have hit that, because I was like, there's a ghost in there. I probably shouldn't have hit it, but I did. I would say I have to live with my decision of freeing the ghost, but the ghost seemed to have despawned in between me entering the treasure door and coming out, so that's nice. It seems like all my mistakes have been fixed for me. I wish real life was like that, am I right? Now that's a relatable statement! Let's play this game and forget about any messes that we have made with our lives. And unfortunately, speaking of messes we've made with our lives, I'm going to have to go and hit a switch, because unfortunately, we are unable to escape that room without hitting a switch previously. So we're going to have to come back to this room with the zombie. Oh, and unfortunately, I did not make quick work of that zombie like I did last time. But this time, we're going to jump over it just fine. I was hoping to kill it. I was going to be like, but this time we're going to murder it. But, you know, life doesn't work out the way that we're always going to think about. That's another very relatable statement. Wario is a game of being zen and understanding life. You come to understand life through Wario. It's the reason why I won't judge anyone who worships Wario. As I said in the last episode, I don't remember how many episodes ago that was, so please don't get mad at me. I would appreciate people not getting mad at me for not remembering the things I said and when. Well, I guess that's not true, because I remember that I said it, I just don't remember when I said it. And we could use this pirate goom to break those blocks and escape, but I didn't think about using him to escape until it was too late. And this area is kind of nice, because you can destroy your walkway, and they know, like, oh man, you could screw yourself, so they have an alternate way of escaping, and I almost ran face first in that freaking pirate goom. So yeah, even if you were to break all those blocks and you were unable to make the jump back, you can still use the upper section to get by. And let's see if I can just bump him just enough to get through so I can jump. I'm going to need you to calm down, Mr. Pirate Goon, because I mean, at this rate, it would have been faster to climb through. Yeah, let's just do that and climb through. Yes, we're going to climb through this tunnel we must crawl through. I was like, I'm going to use that pirate gum. I'm going to jump out. It's going to be really cool. And just none of that happened. So unfortunate. But oh no, Captain Surf's been captured once again by the Ghost. That's the name of the boss. It is the Ghost, and this boss is interesting. If you crouch, you'll always be safe. This boss cannot hurt you if you crouch. In fact, I'm gonna sit here just to show you. Even if it comes down on top of me, it can't get me if you crouch. So the key to beating it is getting out of the way. You do not want to be hit by it, obviously. Getting hit by the boss is key to defeating it, because you must get hit by it. It's a learning experience that you would have foregone had you never been hit by it. So let's defeat this boss proper. So yes, you can crouch and you'll be completely safe from it. But if you're just crouching, you can't deliver the offensive to defeat this guy. And you defeat this guy by punching him in his stupid arm. Once his arm gets tired enough, you capture him and you win the day, and everything's good. But yes, once you deal 1 damage to him, he'll start swiping at you. So he'll come in from the sides, making him a little bit harder to dodge than had he just been ducking down. So this part of the fight is a little bit harder, and sometimes he can be a bit tricky to land a hit on when he's doing this, but he's still, at the end of the day, it's pretty easy, since you can just crouch and you'll be safe forever. Regardless of what happens, you're always safe if you crouch. Even when he goes into his eventual palette change, and I was really hoping that hit would land, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, the palette changed because I just hit him. That's why I was saying it, not just because my brain is thinking a little bit faster than my fingers are. And I'm being a bit too slow to hit him, because as you can see, he retreats up very quickly. And I try to hit him whenever he's going back up, but you have a very small window for that. He is not that hard of a boss. He can be a little tricky, because when he swipes down, he can be hard to hit sometimes. But hey, we defeated him. We captured the ghost by killing the ghost. That's how you capture a ghost. And for killing the ghost, we got his skull. Because ghosts have skulls now, I suppose, but I guess it's not important, because we have everybody's favorite minigame to play, the number matching game. Also, oh my god, I almost choked on my own spit. That would have been very bad. That would have been a bad end to this LP of, oh hey, we finished the spooky level by the LP choking on his own spit, and that's a 6. I don't know why I let that go on for that long. I was like, it's either a 5 or a 6, but we had the piece that let us know it was the 6 very early on. So there was no reason to sit there for as long as we did, but Yeah, that's the end of the Uncanny Mansion. I'm a big fan of that level. It may not be my like absolute favorite level, but it's definitely high up there. I don't know which chapter is my favorite though. I'd have to think long and hard about that. But it is a good chapter. And what better way to end that good chapter off than with the good ending we saw at the ruins at the bottom of the sea, with absolutely no changes made to it. I mean, we punch Syrup, we punch your henchmen, our money's gonna fall from the ceiling. There's nothing different. It's absolutely the same, with no changes made whatsoever, except for that conspicuous platform we were standing on that has now once again separated us from our precious 3 money bags. Our entire trip has been for naught, except it wasn't, because it was all a dream. Hey, it happens, Wario. Sometimes you dream about your money getting stolen by pirates. It happens to the best of us. I mean, because that's what that was. That was just a dream. Definitely nothing more. Except this ending is really interesting, because this ending, as you'll see in a couple seconds, the pirate balloon is going to come on. And this ending actually shows the pirates making their way to Wario's castle as opposed to Wario making his trip back, because he just had a dream. That's all. He didn't go on an adventure of any sort. And I really enjoy this ending, because it's just like, you get to see the pirates show up, and then the end of it's them going into his castle, and it's like the story restarts. Wario had a dream about the adventure he's about to go on, with a little bit of a different ending than he will eventually see. One of the many different endings he could possibly see, but this one is non-canon. This is non-canon in the Wario Land 2 continuity, because, I mean, it's obviously just a dream here. Maybe it's canon that he had this dream, but Uncanny Mansion never happened. Not real. So that's all there is for the Uncanny Mansion, which, I mean, all we have left is one more chapter. One more chapter, and it's all done. Sort of. I mean, maybe there's a little bit more to it. Who knows? But I guess we'll see in the next episode, or maybe the episode after that. Who knows? I'll see you guys then.